Hey, good morning guys. Welcome back to the channel, Detail with Jess. Today, I'm gonna take you on another day in the life as a mobile detailer. You guys seem to like and ask for more of those videos when I did my last one, so that's what's going down today. It's, I think it's like 6:30 or so. I got up at 5:30 this morning, made some coffee. I actually just got my van all set up, so I had filled my water. I'm charging my drill batteries right now. I filled up my gas tank. I double checked all my chemicals, so I'm pretty much ready to roll in the van. And right now I've got about 45 minutes before I have to head off to my detail. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna do my social media. So I just use Canva for everything. If you guys don't use Canva, you need to use Canva. I mean, I feel like everybody knows about it by now, but I have pretty much everything set in, I've got templates for everything that I've personally created in my business. And this is just my template for my reviews. So I just copied and pasted directly from Google one of my exact reviews, and then just head on over to Facebook and just gonna post this as my post this morning. And what I say in my post is another 5-star Google review from one of our amazing clients. We can't thank you enough for your reviews. Not only do we love to hear your honest feedback, but your reviews are what have helped numerous new clients trust in our business this season and be ecstatic with the results. So what I then do is I reshare that on my own personal page in my own words. It's so important to put such good energy onto social media, whether it's your own personal page or your own business page. So I just reshared that, like, more 5-star reviews coming in on Google, and I couldn't be more thankful. This has been such an incredible season filled with the most grateful clients, and it has truly been the best. All right, I'm stuck behind a school bus for an hour here. So this client is a really interesting story because they found me through one of those Facebook groups that I often talk about, one of those town Facebook groups. And it was when my prices were way below. And I learned in my first week that those prices had to go up, but hey, this client happened to find me when I said that a full detail was $150 interior, exterior. I just did the job, and it was very extreme. That very first detail was extreme. Dog hair like no other, embedded, deep. And anywho, what I did is I just did the job, and I made an agreement with her, like, hey, this is going to be like perfect. I'm not going to get every dog hair like I would in a fully charged detail because my prices have gone up, but I will do a great job still. And she was so satisfied that she then contacted me for a second detail, and now we are going on to a third detail. And I actually do not charge her any differently because of the fact that she keeps coming back. And the details now that I have done them the first time are so easy because I do such a thorough detail that those maintenance details can go by so much quicker. So I'm gonna set a goal to try and do this detail in like 3.5 hours. See what I can do. So the very first thing I'm gonna do when I arrive is I'm gonna do an inspection of the vehicle. So I walk around and I make sure to always take video of the vehicle, and oftentimes I'm doing this for the sake of my own documentary. In case the client were to say that I had done something, I always take documents of what the vehicle looked like prior, but I'm also using this as my social media content. So as I move into the interior, like I said, this is a maintenance client. I've been doing her vehicle every 2 months. So she does have a dog. I know that she always travels with a dog, but not too often does she have too many passengers in the vehicle. So I know that the back seat is usually going to be covered in dog hair and dirt. While in the front, it's mainly the driver's seat that's getting used. So when I had last done this vehicle, I had used Aqua Gloss as my UV protectant on the dash and all of the hard consoles. And I also always condition the leather seats. So they're pretty well protected and they don't need a ton of deep cleaning. But as you can see, and as I'm inspecting this vehicle, I'm noticing that I'm going to do a good cleaning of the seats that are used regularly. Well, actually all the seats, just to make sure we're getting all of that dirt out of there. And definitely going to have to do a good air compression, possibly some dog hair removal. But the air should do a really good job at this vehicle because I've done it so often. It's not deeply embedded. And then as we move into the back is looking pretty normal. Nothing too crazy. So I'm just gonna start by taking all of her personal items because there's only a few, and I'm just gonna stow them away in the hatchback for now. Then I'm gonna pull out all the floor mats and I'm gonna put those over on my table, and we'll deal with those later. I'll kind of shake off the excess of what I can and place them right over there. And while I'm taking these floor mats out, I'm also noticing the process that's going to be required to get these clean. And thankfully, these are just looking like the driver's side here, maybe just a quick air compression and vacuum, but the rest of them can probably get away with just an air compression, which will be nice come the end of my detail. Nice and quick. When I initially detail my vehicles, I do a really deep cleaning of the carpets. So I know that when I'm coming back for a maintenance detail, there's not going to be too much that's deeply embedded into those carpets, and I can usually just do a quick air compression to get everything out. So that's what I'm starting with here in the back. My details always start in the back and then I make my way forward. So as I go into the back seat here, I really want to air compress out all of those door jambs because they're pretty clean because of the fact that I detailed this vehicle last. So I can just blast out some of that air and give them a quick wipe down when I go to do the door jambs. And then I'm just going to blast out all the dog hair that's kind of sitting in the crevices, in the consoles. I like to kind of blow a little air into the speaker vents just to clean those out a little bit. Then I'm going to move on to the seats and I'm going to start high and work my way down. So I'm going to pull those seats down, make sure I got all the dog hair that's kind of sitting in there. You can kind of see it where the back of the seat meets the floor there. So I'm going to blast out all of that with some air, get that dog hair out of there, get the sides of the seats clean. I want to make sure I lift up those headrests to make sure I get any dog hair that got caught in there. Gonna pull down that middle console. Like I said, I know she doesn't often have too many passengers in the back seat, so this doesn't get used, but you never know. So I'm gonna open that up, make sure that's clean, blast out any dog hair that may have been trapped in there. I'm gonna pull out those seat belts and make sure I'm blasting out all the dirt. Like I said, there's lots of dirt from the pups, so I'm gonna get the dirt and the dog hair out of there. On the ceiling here, the dogs kind of rub up on the top of the headliner here and around the doors, so I'm really blasting away a lot of the hair that's gotten caught up there. And I'll go through after with my Libby brush and I'll get the last bit of hair that isn't coming off from the air compression. And as with all leather seats, with the stitching, so much dirt, little grains of sand get caught in that stitching. And I make sure to kind of pull those apart and air compress those out as best as possible. And later, if necessary, I'll go through very, very gently with a pick and I'll just kind of loosen up those grains of sand and I'll air compress them away and get them out that way. As you can see, I'm making my way from the top to the bottom, so I'm working through every crevice as I make my way down. I'm making sure I'm getting those little pockets behind the front seats, and I'm working my way under the seats that I'm working on and also the seats in front of me. If I have the ability to, I want to blow as much as I can forward under the front seat and past the front seat if possible, but a lot of these higher end, more luxury cars, they tend to have like blocks, so things don't get caught under those seats. So sometimes you can't blow everything forward. So I just want to make sure when I'm air compressing, I'm moving things to a place that I can easily access them with my vacuum. And of course, just as I finished that side of the back seat and went to move on to the other side, my air compressor stopped working. We've had some crazy hot, humid weather, and I was assuming that my air compressor tank had been filling up with some water and humidity. So I was like, oh crap, let me drain that out. So I drained out all the water there. As you can see, a ton of water came out there. And then I thought that that would do the trick. That's not working. Love it. But it didn't. And my air compressor is now not working. And I'm only a third of the way through the car. So we're going to pull out the good old shop vac and just make do. I'm going to turn the air compressor off. I'm going to let it sit and hope that that does the trick while I just keep moving and try to just vacuum everything up. All right, so my air compressor just stopped working as haven't even gotten halfway through the back seat. Awesome. So frustrating. So this happens way too often. I'm just seeing dog hair I just missed that I could really use the air compressor for. All right, but so we got to make do and work with the vacuum the best we can. So. Since I don't have my air compressor, I'm just very, very gently going along the hard consoles here and trying to just kind of suck up some of that dog hair, because if I were to start cleaning this console, it's just going to push dog hair everywhere. And without my air compressor, I'm just never going to be able to get it out. So I'm gently, gently just trying to suck it out. Okay, let's see if this works. I've given it some time. I've released the water. Please. No. Oh, thank goodness. I was losing patience. I need my air compressor. So I remembered I was having issues with my surge protector. And so I went back and checked that and saw that that had been tripped. And that's why the air compressor wasn't working. So I reset that and now I have to put that on my list to go get a new one. And I continued on with the air compression of the front seat and the back seat. So real quick, I'm going to finish up the back here because that's not going to get affected once it's finished. So I just want to get that done. And I'm going to go through what I'm using here is the P&S Swift. And this is an all-in-one cleaner and shine, not a protectant. But I just use this in the back on areas that just aren't touched and are barely used. I'm going to pull that little cover out. I'm going to clean that up. And this just leaves a real nice shine while cleaning on very lightly affected areas. So I've now air compressed everything out and I have finished the back of the hatchback. Now I'm going to move on and start cleaning the leather and cleaning the hard surfaces. Like I said, this vehicle is a maintenance detail, so a lot of it isn't super dirty, but these leather seats are very dirty because she does have her dog in the back seat quite often. So these are in need of a deep cleaning. I'm going to make sure I'm kind of scrubbing that leather a bit. We're going to get all the stitching nice and clean. Oftentimes, what I would do next is vacuum. But this is being a maintenance detail doesn't need such a thorough vacuum. So I'm going to save the vacuuming for the very end. And when you have details that are just light maintenance details, you can do that. But I find in my dirtier details in vehicles that haven't been cleaned in a year or 2 or 3, I end up vacuuming for like hours. Probably realistically an hour, hour and a half, but it's just not necessary in this kind of detail. So I'm moving on to the leather, making sure to get that leather nice and clean. I'm using P&S Xpress Interior Cleaner. This is one of my favorite cleaners because it actually cleans. And I think a lot of people don't like this cleaner because of the fact that it cleans so well that if you don't evenly distribute it, you're going to see streaking because you're going to see the areas that it's touched more heavily. It's actually cleaning them while it's not cleaning the areas that haven't been touched. So this is one of those products that needs to be used, I don't want to say liberally, but you have to equally distribute the product in order for it to equally clean the entire surface. Otherwise, you will notice some streaking, but it cleans leather really well. It lifts the dirt really well. And guys, I have been using my Ninja scrub pads, and I thought I had them for this detail, and apparently they were all in the laundry. So I have been using the Ninja scrub pads. I didn't like them for the longest time, but they are growing on me. So I have been using those, but today we're just using some microfiber cloths because of the fact that apparently they were all in the laundry. As you can see, even on my maintenance details, I'm still doing a really thorough cleaning. Some people prefer to just do a quick wipe down, but I'm just always going deep. It's just my personal belief. I saw a lot of dirt here, so I just wanted to take my pick and very gently just kind of lift some of that out real quick. Now, if this were a regular detail, I'd first go through and clean everything with the P&S Xpress Interior Cleaner, front and back. But because I know this vehicle is really not all too dirty and a lot of its surface level, I'm actually going to go through and protect everything in the back seat. So when I'm done with the back, I'm done with the back. Today I'm using Chemical Guys VRP. Y'all have recommended this as a UV protectant and shine, and I started using it, and I like it. So I have a majority of my back seat done. The last thing I have to do is just condition the leather seats, but I'm going to move on to the front and start cleaning all of those hard surfaces and the leather seats and cleaning out the stitching here. Now, if we want to talk about doing things right by the book, a lot of people have mentioned that you need to clean the seats last because the last thing you want to do is sit on a clean seat. Quite honestly, I'm really not too concerned about sitting on the seats. So yeah, I'm not always doing everything by the detailer's book, but I'm just doing what works for me and what works for my brain at times because I don't always like to do things in order. I know everyone's different, but my brain just doesn't like to operate by the book. It gets really bored. So sometimes in order to mix things up in my details, I do things out of order because it keeps it fun for me. It's weird. I don't know, but it's just how I operate, and it's what keeps me coming back. So now I'm just cleaning up all of the hard surfaces. And when I do the hard surfaces in the front, I'm starting in the center and I'm working my way out. I am keeping my feet out of the vehicle as best as possible, but I am short. I am 5'4", and I can't always reach everything. So sometimes I gotta put my feet in the vehicle. But I'm making sure to clean everything up really good, getting into all those crevices. I don't know if you remember in the inspection here, there was something really gooey in the center console there by the shifter. So I want to make sure I take the time to get that really cleaned out. And so that's what I'm working on here. Whatever this was, it kind of reminds me of sunscreen or something. It's really gooey, and it definitely got under the crevices here. So I went and I got some Q-tips, and I'm gonna get deep into those crevices a little bit more. And then I also have another little tool, a little foam cleaner that can get under there even better. So just gonna have to work at that for a quick minute and try and get that goo removed.
Even with my little foam cleaners, a lot of this stuff just still wasn't coming out, and it was really into those crevices. So I just went and got my little metal pick, and very, very gently, I'm just kind of moving that along the surface to kind of remove some of that gunk. Then I want to make sure I'm getting that center console, so I'm going to make sure I clean that out real quick. So then I moved on to cleaning the driver's side, and this was actually pretty clean. There wasn't any really residue or anything built up into the crevices or the little buttons, so I was able to just quickly clean those, and then I cleaned the pedals. And now I'm going to start by conditioning all of the leather. So there's a lot of leather on the doors here, so I'm going to make sure I condition that, and I'm going to move on to conditioning all of the leather seats to help protect those. And the product I'm using here is the P&S Leather Conditioner. I'm not partial to it in any way, but it's just the first one I purchased. It's lasted me quite a while, and it's just what I use. It looked like there was once some sort of spill on the seat here, so the little perforated holes, what I do is I just take my little pick and I push whatever whatever it was that was filling those holes, I push it in, and it just makes the seats look cleaner there. You can really see the difference in the leather though. It looks conditioned, the color pops so much more, especially with that P&S Express. It cleans it and it strips it so much that once you do condition it, it looks fabulous. And now I'm going to go ahead to the front consoles, all the hard surfaces. I'm going to go through and put a UV protection on that. Like I said earlier, what I'm using here is the Chemical Guys VRP. A bunch of people had commented on my product video, and they said that this is one of their favorite interior protectants and shines. So it's what I've been using lately. The VRP, if you don't know, stands for vinyl, rubber, and plastic. So it can be used on all of those surfaces. I find that it goes on really evenly and creates a great even shine. The only downside of it compared to my aqua gloss is that it's not dilutable, so it definitely does not last as long as far as the lasting of the product. You get less uses out of it, but it does create a really nice protectant. When I'm doing my final wipe down and protectant, I'm making sure to get all of the areas. I'm getting in the vents, I'm getting all of the, I don't know, what do you call them? The levers. I'm not doing the steering wheel. I am doing the buttons, but I am not doing the steering wheel. This VRP is actually not greasy. Like, it doesn't have any sort of like silicone-y, slippery feel to it, which is really nice. So you could use it on the steering wheel, but I still don't, just to be safe. The final protectant stage is very time consuming in all of my details. It's like you're going through and cleaning everything an entire second time. But on the plus side, taking my time throughout this process ensures that I haven't missed a beat or anything within this detail. So if there is something that I missed, this is almost like an inspection period where I can go through and do a final inspection while I'm doing the protectant to make sure I didn't miss anything. And oftentimes like when I'm doing the cleaning process, I start in the center and I make my way out, and I start up top and I make my way down. So that way I'm ensuring I cover all areas, all bases, and I kind of have a process to make sure I'm not missing any spots. So now that I have done all of those center and hard surface areas up top, I'm working my way down and to the exterior and doing all of the door trims, any plastic around the door trims, and then I'm going to make my way down to the area where the feet go, and again, just making sure I don't miss a beat. Lastly, I'll work my way out to the doors and I'll finish all of those off. And now that I've finished with the UV protectant, what I'm going to do is I'm going to condition those front seats. I haven't done those yet, so I'm going to make my way down to the seats and make sure I condition all of the front, the sides, the tops, the bottoms, every aspect of those seats. The center console here is also leather, so any little accents that are leather, I'm going to top those off with the conditioner as well. I don't know what in the world happened here, but apparently I recorded this entire video in slow motion. So this is me sped up in slow motion, getting through this passenger side of the vehicle. The very final step here is I am going to go through and clean all of the windows. Now, I typically wouldn't spray my microfiber towel while it's sitting on a leather seat, but I'm limited for hands here, so don't come at me, okay? Cleaning windows is definitely my least favorite thing to do in the detailing process. It's really difficult to reach a lot of those spots, and it's one of those things that you have to do over and over and over again in order to get a streak-free finish. Now, before I go through and vacuum one final vacuum, I'm going to do the door jambs. So I'm just taking all-purpose cleaner and just going through, and since these door jambs are pretty clean, I can just spray it on there and wipe it off. I'm not going to do much damage. There's just a little bit of dust lingering in there, and like I said, I air compressed a lot of it out of there earlier anyways, so you can get away with doing in just a quick spray and wipe down of the door jambs when they're nice and clean. Now, like I said, when I was pulling these floor mats out, they just needed a quick air compression, so that's exactly what I did here. I had plans of taking you guys on the entire exterior detail of this Lexus as well, but what ended up happening was my phone died, so I saved the very last 5% of battery that I had to show you the final results of the interior detail here. I absolutely love the look of the finish with using the Chemical Guys VRP. I also love the look that leather gets when it's finished off with that leather conditioner. It always makes that red leather pop. The lighting was really terrible here. It was just shining in my eyeballs all day long, making for horrible lighting for the camera, so I apologize there. Just working with what I've got here. Now, some people like to do their exteriors first. I like to do my exteriors last because of the fact you see all that pollen floating around right now. It is September and the pollen is running wild. So I like to do my exteriors last so that the vehicle actually looks good and clean when I'm finished and the client sees it. But also, if I do that exterior first, once I go to the interior and I start to use my air compressor and I start to blow some of that dust and dirt out, it's going to go right to the paint. So that's one of the main reasons that I like to do my interiors first and my exteriors last. I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on this detail with me. Next time, I'll make sure to keep my phone fully charged and we will get the exterior detail process as well. If you like this content, let me know in the comments. And be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.